I'm Dave Carvajal. This is Thunder, Wisdom, and Insights with some of my favorite leaders on the planet.
So, how did I get here to be CEO of a company like Young & Rubicam? I began actually in advertising when I was in high school. I started writing copy. And how did I start writing copy? As a senior in high school, I went to a very progressive high school, and they figured by the time January rolled around, you were already in college, you got accepted. The rest of the year was a bit of a waste, so they had a work program. And I went to work for friends of my dad's who had a local in New York City advertising agency at the time, very, very well known, small but very, very large in terms of their media output, in terms of the work that they produced. And I went to work for them, and I just had a knack for it. And I started selling copy, and all through school I sold copy and designed ads, and I learned how to do production. And I was making, I used to buy time at Channel 9, WOR in New York, the smallest little television station in the market. And I would go 2 o'clock in the morning and pay like whatever the low end of the union rate was, because they had studios open, and do little commercials and things for people, mostly for nonprofit stuff, but I started doing a lot of work like that. I had an opportunity to work for a company called New York Tel. They were Young & Rubicam's largest client at the time, so they were beginning before the baby bells, before the whole bell system blew up. They were one of the largest. Worked for them, did just an amazing time, an amazing experience for me. I was writing and designing and doing stuff that just gave me tremendous opportunity in the summer. And then they said, you got to go work at Y&R. So I did. They helped me get a job there in 1976. I was in the training program. Left there right after I graduated the training program, got 4 times my salary, which was probably about $8, at the next job. I went to work at Wells Rich Green, and it was also an exciting opportunity. Had an opportunity to go to Israel. I went to Israel and founded a company in 1979, 1980 with somebody who became my partner, still my older brother after all these years. He was an Israeli, he was a graphic designer, graphic artist, brilliant, and had done mostly B2B. And somebody partnered us, and it was the beginning of the high-tech industry in Israel, which today is probably the most famous in the world. But we were there at the very, very beginning of it. And so it was amazing. So we learned how to do everything. The ads sort of were obvious, but we learned how to do annual reports and how to create booths for incredible trade exhibitions, global ones, and create the collateral for it. It was an amazing experience. Came back to the US, worked with Burson Marsteller, which was sort of a natural progression. It was something I didn't know. I always wanted to do something I didn't know, which we can talk about later. Went from there to run global accounts at Young & Rubicam because I had this global experience that back in 1985, not many people did. It was traveling the world in 85. There were no cell phones. There's no email. You got on a plane, you were gone for 2 weeks. Couldn't always call back home.